What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and today I'm back to talk about, you guessed it, Warhammer 40k. More specifically, I'm talking about the lore being translated into the tabletop. So for the past 2 videos, I believe, I've talked about translating lore and making it work on the tabletop for the Grey Knights and the Chaos Space Marines. And for the most part, it works okay. Obviously, when you're writing lore, you're making whatever you're writing about be grander than grand, if that makes sense. So for example, if you're talking about Roboute Guilliman, the Primarch of the Space Marines, of the Ultramarines for that matter, this guy is going to be nigh unkillable. He's going to be doing epic things, taking down bloodthirsters without breaking a sweat. And that obviously is done for plot reasons. And obviously they're a named character, so people are going to be intrigued when they hear about that character. So obviously the lore for that character is going to be really great. On the tabletop, Guilliman can be taken down by anything and anybody. A group of grots can kill a Primarch. I mean, the chances are pretty slim, but the chances are there for that to happen. So with taking that into account, this episode is all about the Tau Empire and seeing how their lore is affecting them on the tabletop. Another thing that affects the tabletop is that sometimes the meta shifts with changes to the editions. So for example, let's say a Tau Fire Warrior. They could have been really good back in 5th edition, and now they might not be so good because of the game types being played, the changes to how weapons work, that kind of thing. So there are a lot of caveats when talking about the tabletop and the accuracy of how the lore translates. But looking at the Tau lore, they're pretty good because the Tau were basically put into 4 different castes by the ruling ethereals. You had the air caste, which was like the pilots and that kind of thing. You had the squatty earth caste, which are the innovators. They build, they work with technology. You have the water caste, which are the diplomats. They translate, they go into talks with Xeno nations to try to bring them to the greater good. And then you have the fire caste, which has the fire warriors, or the military might of the Tau. And it's 100% correct because every Tau fire warrior looks like a Tau fire caste should. Now the fire caste are a little bit shorter, but they're stronger, faster, that kind of thing. Whereas the air caste, they're very tall, very lithe, and you could clearly see a difference between the 2 castes. And it's 100% correct in the tabletop. Every warrior that's in the military is a fire caste member, so you don't see any Earth caste fire warrior pilots for that matter. In certain cases you do, like if you go look at the Farsight enclaves, that's where things get a little bit wishy-washy. But for the most part, that's all 100% correct. So in that mindset, the Tau's lore fits perfectly. However, once you get to the effectiveness of certain units, then that's where things get a little bit muddied. So for example, the Tau Riptide, a genius innovation of the Earth caste, was seen to take out Tyrannid Bio-Titans. Now, that actually happening in the tabletop, again, it's a game of chance, a game of dice, so it can happen, but no. Like, it's freaking an elite unit going up against a Titan. So, you know, you're embellishing it for lore, making it sound more badass than it actually is. And hey, on a good day where all your dice rolls go great and all your opponents go bad, it can happen. You can recreate epic moments. And I think that's best seen with Farsight's The 8. These 8 members of his squad have just gone out and done deeds worthy of legend and lore. But when you play them on the battlefield, they're a huge point sink, not a lot of synergy. Chances are you're dooming yourself by bringing the 8, because you need troops to take objectives. You need, like I said earlier, you need synergy to make your battle a lot easier for yourself. Bringing the 8, you're just pointing you're just putting yourself in a deficit. Characters for your opponent to take advantage with secondaries. And yeah, if you're playing this, play it for narrative reasons, not for competitive reasons. Another thing too that's really great, but it could be way better, is the auxiliaries for the Tau. The concept of the greater good spans multi-Xeno races. And unfortunately, we only see 2 of these on the tabletop. That is the Kroot and the Vespid. And in the lore, there's a lot of theory, a lot of speculation that the Tau Ethereals are using some type of mind control, pheromone control, some means of allowing compliance with the Tau and auxiliaries, and that can maybe be seen, depending on how you view it, with the helms that the Vespid leaders wear. So if you buy a basic Vespid unit for the tabletop, 4 of them come without the helm, so you can see they're like bug-like features, but the squad leader has a Tau helm that supposedly is used to relay information to him and also to allow translation to occur. But this might just be a means of mind controlling it, so now that Vespid squad is basically working exactly how the Tau Ethereals want them to. Another really great thing about the Tau is how they use the Kroot as mercenaries, and the Kroot play exactly like they're supposed to. They hunt with dogs, they use I wouldn't say very primitive, but they use technology that's primitive in terms of the Tau technology, but still they can integrate it with their own. Certain Kroot characters do have like pulse rifles and that kind of thing. I believe you can even equip them to like squad leaders. But the Kroot, you have a whole vast ecosystem of various types of Xenos that they've devoured throughout generation, and that can be seen within their ranks. Kroot hounds are just Kroot that ate a lot of, I guess, dog-like creatures and have gotten those traits. Krootoks are basically the same thing, but the Kroot decided to eat bigger, bulkier type creatures to gain those bigger traits. Even if you look into Forge World, you see the Narlock riders and that kind of thing, so that is where the Kroot shine in terms of lore to being translated on the tabletop. That's pretty perfect. The one thing that I wish would be translated from the lore to the tabletop is the final member of the trio of pupils to Commander Puretine, and that is Shas-O Kais. This character is seen throughout the lore, but unfortunately we've never gotten a model for him. There are stories being told about him, but nothing has been shown. Maybe we'll see that in the future, because GW does like to kind of take certain things of the lore and just kind of keep them in their back pocket to later showcase. I mean, they are a business, so obviously they can't give us everything at once. But yeah, that's just the basics for this. If you guys feel like there's something that the Tau have lost from the lore to the tabletop, please let me know. But for the most part, I think everything is pretty accurate. The Tau battlesuits work just like they do in the lore. They're meant to be used as almost like a step up above Fire Warriors, so that's why they're a little bit tougher, a little bit better. The armaments are just crazy that you can equip them, and you see various variants in the lore too, so that's really great. This is one of the examples where the lore is almost 100% translated to the tabletop. The Tau being such a, I wouldn't say just a young race in general, because I mean, if you look at the Space Marines, the Imperium, the Eldar, the Necrons, they have been around much longer than the Tau, but the Tau are still able to hold their own based on the concept of the greater good, and the way they expand through spheres is also really greatly represented on the tabletop. As each sphere expands, their lore gets a little bit better, and then that lore gets translated to the tabletop. So keep doing what you're doing with the Tau, GW. It's all good. And that's all I got for today, guys. Thank you for listening. If you guys do like what we enjoy here, you guys can head on over to our Patreon page and just support us a little bit more by pledging $1 a month. to help us bring you 40k videos each and every day. If not, hey, just by watching our videos, liking and commenting, that's more than enough. As always, I've been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.